Okay, we're going to be talking about multiplying polynomials. And when we do this, this is where things start to get interesting in our world of polynomials. So we're going to talk about three different types. We're going to do monomial, so we're going to do monomial, polynomial, I-A-L. We'll do binomial, and then we're going to do polynomial. So let's start off with our monomial polynomial multiplication. And with this, all that we're really going to be doing is we're distributing the monomial to each term in the polynomial. So say we've got something like 2x, and I'll multiply this by 3x squared minus 5x minus 8. When we distribute, we are literally just multiplying every single one of these terms inside by 2x. Now, I usually leave this second step, or this step, as sort of something that you do just in your head. So when we do this, we're thinking, oh, this is 2x times 3x squared. Oh, 2x times 3x squared is 6x cubed. Then I've got 2x times minus 5x. 2x times minus 5x is minus 10x squared. And then we have 2x times minus 8. 2x times minus 8 is minus 16x. So we're done right there. So you don't need to show all of this work. This is more of sort of our thought process. A couple things I want to note. Notice I'm multiplying through by something positive here. None of my signs changed inside this. So if I'm multiplying through by a monomial, I have 3 terms inside my set of parentheses, which means I had 3 terms here. This was positive, negative, negative. The signs of things are positive, negative, and negative. So our signs don't change. If I multiply through by a negative, so if I multiply by a negative, then our signs are all going to change. So say we've got minus 3m, and I'll multiply that by, say, 2m minus 7. Negative times positive is going to be negative. In this case, it's going to be negative 6m squared. Negative times negative is positive. And 3 times 7 is 21. We still have that m. So when I multiply through by a negative, our signs change. So this is generally how our monomial polynomial multiplication works. Now let's talk about binomial multiplication. And this is, we have a shorthand for this, but essentially it's still all about distribution. We're distributing each term from that first binomial into the second binomial. Our shorthand for this is what we call FOIL. FOIL stands for first outside or outer, inside. Sometimes you'll hear this as first outside, inside, or first outer, inner, and then L is the last terms. So what we're doing is, like I say, we're distributing each term from our first binomial into the second. So let's run through some examples here. And I'm going to show you a pattern here with the simple ones. Well, actually, no, I'll hold off on this. I'll do more about this later. So let's say we've got x minus 2 and x minus 3. Excuse me, I sneezed. Here, when I multiply, this is going to be my first. So x times x is x squared. Then I've got my outside term. X times negative 3 is minus 3x. Now I have negative 2 times x. This is my inside term, so minus 2x. And then minus 2 times minus 3 is a positive 6. So we do need to watch our signs when we're doing this. So we've multiplied, but you notice that I have a couple terms that I can add together now. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to have x squared minus negative 3x plus a negative 2x is negative 5x and plus 6. And we're done. Let's do it again. Let's say we've got, I'm going to do something maybe a little bit more complex. I'm going to say we've got 3y minus 1, and I'll multiply this by y plus 5. That's a 5. Again, first, 3y times y is going to be 3y squared. My outside terms. So first, outside, inside, last. So my outside terms are 3y times 5 is going to be 15y. My inside term is going to be minus 1y. I'll go ahead and, I don't always have to put that minus 1 there, but I will this time. Minus 1 times 5 is going to be minus 5. So when I add together my middle terms here, we'll have 3y squared plus 14y minus 5. And we're done. Let's do it again. These are kind of fun. We can do something like have a plus 3b. You can have multiple variables in here. As long as it's just binomials, you're fine doing it. And what did I do? A minus 5b. When I multiply, still FOIL. First, outside term, so it's the very first and the very last things that we see here. So first, outside, inside, last. A times a is going to be a squared. A times minus 5b is going to be minus 5ab. My inside terms, it's going to be plus 3ab. And then our last terms, we've got 3 times 5 is going to be 15, and then I've got b times b is b squared. Now, if you're not quite following what I'll do a markup over here in just a second. This is a squared minus 2ab minus 15b squared. So thinking about what our first outside, inside, last terms are, this was a times a is our a squared. A times minus 5b is that minus 5ab. 3b times a is going to be plus 3ab, and then 3b times minus 5b turns out to be minus 15b squared. So it's just every single thing that we're doing here is just monomial multiplication. All right. Our last type of multiplication is this. We're going to be doing polynomial multiplication. So polynomial multiplication, we are distributing each term in the first polynomial into the second polynomial. Now, I'm going to show you the traditional way of organizing this, and I'm going to show you another way that I think is very helpful to keep things organized and will help you keep track of terms, because there's going to be a lot of terms for us to deal with here. So let's say I'm going to start with a binomial times a trinomial. And I'm going to start with x minus 4. And I'm going to multiply this by x squared plus 7x minus 8. So we're just going to take this first term and in our binomial, and I'm going to multiply it into this second binomial, or second polynomial. So I've got x times x squared is going to be x cubed. X times 7x is going to be plus 7x squared. And I've got x times minus x is minus 8x. Now I'm going to take the other term that we have here in this binomial, and I'm going to distribute that into our polynomial. So I've got minus 4. Minus 4 times x squared is going to be minus 4x squared. Minus 4 times 7x is minus 28x. And then minus 4 times minus 8 is plus 32. So notice that where this was positive, positive, negative, I've got negative, negative, positive. All right, now we can add together our like terms. So I've got an x cubed term, and I don't have any other cubed terms here. So I'm going to just leave that one hanging out up front here, x cubed. Now I'm going to start looking for my other like terms. I've got a squared term here and here. This is a first degree term, that's a first degree term, that's a constant. So it's just going to be 7x squared minus 4x squared is plus 3x squared. Now I've got my first degree term, so I've got minus 8x and minus 28x, so that's going to be minus 36x. And then last, I've got my constant just kind of hanging out here, plus 32. So we've got that for the whole answer here. Now, there's a lot going on here. And you can tell that we've got a lot of jumping around to do when we're adding things together. So here's what we're going to do on our next one. I'm going to show you a different way of organizing it. So when we organize, think for a second about how you organize just multiplying together two numbers, two multiple digit numbers. Say I've got 473, and I multiply that by, say, 28. When I multiply by 8, okay, 8 times 3 is 24. It's going to be 56. 56 plus 2 is 58. So 32, so 37. And okay, so 8 times 473 is 3,784. This 2, on the other hand, this is actually a 20. That's why we put a placeholder here. And then, so I've got 20 times 3 is 60. That's where that comes from. 2 times 7 is 14. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is going to be 9. So when I do that, I'm lining up my place values. And this is as much by power as it is by anything else. So if I've got two trinomials times each other, let's do this. Say I've got x squared plus 5x minus 6, and I'm going to multiply this by 2x squared plus 3x minus 5. If I've got something like this, I will end up with 9 different terms when I've fully done everything. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to break this out. I'm still going to multiply everything, but how I organize it is going to be just a little bit different, and I'll show you how. So let's start by distributing this x squared in here. X squared times 2x squared is going to be 2x to the 4th power. X squared times 3x is going to be plus 3x cubed, and x squared times minus 5 is minus 5x squared. Okay. Now let's multiply through by my 5x. 5x times 2x squared is going to be 10x to the 3rd power. Here's my 3rd power, so this is going to be plus 10x to the 3rd power, 10x cubed. 5x times 3x is plus 15x squared. 5x times minus 5 is minus 25x. Last but not least, we're going to multiply through by our minus 6. Minus 6 times 2x squared is going to be minus 12x squared. Minus 6 times 3x is going to be minus 18x. And then minus 6 times minus 5 is going to be plus 30. So what we're doing here is we're essentially lining up our place values here. So our constants are added together, our x values are added together, our x squareds are added together, cubes and fourths, just like that. So now when I'm done, I can say, oh, 2x to the 4th, 3x cubed plus 10x cubed is plus 13x cubed. 5x squared plus 10x squared is going to be 10x squared minus 12 is going to be minus 2x squared. Minus 25x minus 18x is going to be minus, what is that, 43x, and then plus 30. So we'd be done right there. All right, that's all we've got for right now, and I will see you in the next video.